Coming up, Missouri sees a fast approaching deadline as it continues to struggle to redraw its district maps.
It is a flooded 4 states. Watches and warnings abound, as well as rain throughout the rest of our Thursday morning. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And 3 Joplin organizations come to the rescue of a historic train station.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first let's go to Michael Hayslip. It's still raining out there.
It's going to keep raining. We got pockets around 7-8 inches of rain this week alone. There we are over 7th and Range Line. The torrential downpour continues. The Skywatch storm tracker, the heaviest of the rain, moving east through southwest Missouri, but we do have another band there that stretches from Crawford County diagonally back into Jasper County, and even where you see a break right there in portions of Labette and Montgomery, we're not done yet because we've got more that's creeping in from the south and the southwest. It's just it's a mess. It's exactly what it is. Let's call it what it is, a mess. We've got flood warnings there indicated in the lime green for the darker green color, the off green, if you will. That's a flood watch. Pretty much right now, flash flood warnings also in effect just to the east of our highlighted counties up on I-44 if you're headed off that way. So please know that everything right now is having trouble holding on to the water. Our local storm reports, especially down to the south, in McDonald County and in Berry County, indicating flooded roads. Barton County took the brunt of it last night. That's where we've got 7 to 8 inches of rain. Flooding in Lamar, flooding in Pittsburgh. Here's our temperatures as we stand. Anywhere from about 54 to 61. The important thing is, when are we going to dry out? Well, the top panel of the weather trend will show you that the rain is going to do its best to stick around. Even as we get into the morning, you may get an intermittent break. Don't let the umbrella down, because after we get the counterclockwise flow, it kicks back on us for tonight. A little more generates down from the south, and we're really not done until Friday morning. At that point in time, we are going to be looking at places, Tanya, that very well could pick up 9 to 10 inches from a Monday through Friday basis.
9 to 10 inches?
9 to 10 inches. Needless to say, the Neosho, the Spring, the Little Osage, the Marmaton, and the Osage rivers, all about to crest.
Oh my goodness. All right, keep an eye on those for sure. All right, thanks, Michael. As the legislative session draws near, Missouri has yet to redraw district maps. The legislature now has less than 2 weeks left and still has not come to a decision. In fact, lawmakers are moving backwards on the issue because it's moved back into committee discussion. On Wednesday, Representative Dan Schall proposed a new map similar to what passed before. Schall hopes this map will ease concerns from legislators.
With input from several to try to make sure it could survive the Senate. We are open to some adjustments to this. There are still some issues with the map.
A map must be passed by Friday of next week, which is when the session ends. The state faces multiple federal and state lawsuits over the delays. If a redistricting map is not agreed upon in time, it could end up in the hands of the courts. Kansas lawmakers have good news for some residents. Governor Laura Kelly on Wednesday signed a bill allowing people ages 65 years old and older or disabled veterans to get a property tax refund of up to $2,500 as long as they make less than $75,000. Disabled veterans are also eligible for income tax exemptions. And teachers can now receive tax credits for buying classroom supplies. KBI late last night announced a homicide investigation in Allen County. Allen County Sheriff's Office says a man was found Tuesday dead in a shop outside of his home in rural La Harpe. That man is identified as 68-year-old Richard Deal. Authorities say preliminary autopsy results indicate Deal was murdered. They're not providing any more information. A part of Joplin's history may be getting ready for a second life. Joplin's Union Depot used to be unlike any other train station in its time, but it's been vacant for over 50 years. Just last year was placed on Missouri's Places in Peril list. And now a team of 3 Joplin organizations is looking to save it. Because it was placed on Missouri's Places in Peril list, the group now has the authority to market the building and seek out developers for the property. The group says the building plays a significant role in Joplin's history.
We've lost a lot of our historic buildings, but with Union Depot, it's a very innovative building. It's architecturally stunning, and the architect who designed it, Lewis Curtis, is known as the Frank Lloyd Wright of Kansas City, so it's very significant in that right, too.
While what will come of the Union Depot is still up for discussion, the initial steps for marketing the building have already started. Our own Bronte Sorotsky will bring us more on the future of the depot later in the show. Well, tornadoes cleaved their way through parts of Oklahoma on Wednesday, causing widespread damage in some areas. Dramatic video of a twister was captured as it struck near the town of Maud on the boundary between Potawatomi and Seminole counties. Authorities say a tornado hit a marijuana farm, but did not say if there were any injuries. They're assessing the damage in Seminole, and they say fire and rescue crews were sent there. The structures hit appeared unoccupied at the time. The National Weather Service canceled the tornado warning for Seminole County mid-evening on Wednesday. Well, if last night served as any indication, springtime is severe weather season. How a building is constructed can go a long way keeping safe when that severe weather strikes. And now the Joplin Area Habitat for Humanity is building a home to the fortified standards set by the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety. The home features walls with 6 inches of concrete that can withstand winds up to 130 miles per hour.
We look to involve this in our future and add it to another component for a safe, well-built house to be even better for a homeowner who's coming in from a situation and from a low-income situation that's never had a house like this. And not only is it built well and safe, but it's built even extra strong.
Habitat officials say this is the first home in Missouri to meet the fortified standard. Well, here's a reason to party on Thursday. It's Cinco De Mayo. Every year on the 5th of May, Americans celebrate Mexican-American heritage and pride. United States Congress issued a proclamation in 2005 calling on Americans to observe Cinco de Mayo. Most people do so by enjoying a Mexican-themed meal and drinks like tacos and margaritas. You can also explore Mexican culture, music, dance, and film. Even have a Mexican piñata.
All right, let the road closures begin. Missouri 97 now closed to flooding. Is in Dade County. In Barton County, we've got Route M at the Glendale Fork. It is now closed. We've got Route CC coming out of Goodman in McDonald County. It is closed. We have Route C, which is to the east of CC. That is on the other side of Monette. It is closed. And then in downtown Monette, we've got water coming over the bank at 7th Street and up to the 5th Street Bridge. Also, too, a couple reports of some high winds that rolled through overnight, knocking down trees on several structures. Once again, we'll bebop through that. Mo 97 in Dade County, now closed. In Barton County, Route M. In McDonald County, Route CC. And in Lawrence County, in Berry County, we've got Route C. Also of note, Tanya, speaking of Berry County, we had an evacuation of the campgrounds at Roaring River State Park due to flooding as well.
Right. Make sure you guys know your alternate routes, that's for sure this morning.
And rain for the rest of the morning, remember that.
Turn around, don't drown. Can't say it enough. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the PSU track and field team gets ready to take their marks for the MIAA Outdoor League Championships. And they've got a plan for victory. Plus, they say home is where the heart is, but we want to know where you call home. That's our morning talker for the day. And one new study says women and people of color waited longer to receive attention in the ER. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
MIAA releasing its All-Conference Softball Awards. 6 Pittsburgh State Gorillas, 7 players from Missouri Southern are on the All-MIAA list. Each school with 2 on the first team. Missouri Southern utility player Leighton Withers and outfielder Yasmin Vargas are first teamers. As for Pittsburgh State, Paxton Hayes, first teamer at first base, and Taylor Lambert, first teamer at second base. You can check out the full list of conference players on our sports page, KOAMNewsNow.com. Big signing day at Pittsburgh High School. 4 Pittsburgh seniors continuing their careers in college, including 3 who We're moving on in athletics. Among those signing, Gavin Deal. He's going to play football at the next level. Deal going on to play football at St. Mary in Leavenworth, going to play on the offensive line, maybe even a little defensive line as well for the Spires.
I've always wanted to become like a professional football player, and I knew that college would be that second step to get to that third. During the summers, we'd always have like that really hard like military-like work that is like hard work or go home. So Coach Nick, Coach O'Bray, Coach Vaughn definitely prepared me for that, and I'm excited to see what that takes me.
Check out full interviews with all 5 Pittsburgh signees at KOAMnewsnow.com. Regular season is over. It is now conference championship time for MIAA track and field. The Outdoor League Championships begin Friday at Emporia State. For Pittsburgh State, both the men's and women's teams head into the MIAA Championships ranked in the top 10 in the nation. Gorilla women, they're 9th this week. PSU men, number 5 in the latest rankings. The PSU women won the indoor title this year and are coming off a 5th place finish at Nationals. Know what they have to do to secure another conference championship.
Conference is always our #1 goal. So just winning conference is just a goal in general, and we work really hard towards that goal. We know we want to win. Like, we know what job we have to do to win. So yes, pressure is there.
We enjoy the spotlight. We did a great job indoors, but we have to change gears and understand it's a new season. And we have to get our minds wrapped around of accomplishing this goal of winning the outdoor championship, and we can't worry about what happened indoors or in cross country.
Kansas City Royals and St. Louis Cardinals meeting for the 4th and final time this season. Royals trying to earn a series split with the Cards after dropping 2 of the first 3. Now, KC was coming off of a big 7-1 win and tried to keep the bats rolling. That is not what happened. However, Nolan Arenado's bat was working just fine. Homers in the first. It's already 3-0 Cardinals. Later in the inning, Tyler O'Neill gaps. This ends up being an RBI triple for O'Neill. 4-0 St. Louis, and they add 1 more to it to go up 5. Adam Wainwright, how about 7 shutout innings on the mound, allowed just 1 hit. Arenado would come up 2 for 4 and drive in 5 runs yesterday. It was all Cardinals as they win it 10-0. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, the FDA giving the go-ahead for new testing aimed at what it thinks is better diagnosis of Alzheimer's. And a check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Road closures where we're going to concentrate most of our time on this Thursday morning because of the amount of rain that we had. Live look over 7th and Rangeline, give you the latest one. Route K in northern Jasper County, it is now closed westbound for flooding. That is right off of I-49 before you get to Highway 126 in Barton County. So once again, Route K, northern portion of Jasper County off of I-49. I can even pinpoint it for you right here. Go right there in between Carthage and Lamar, right on the county line. So just to the, that'd be the southwest of Golden City. That's going to be Route K. So that's our newest one. But we have plenty more to talk about when it comes to our local storm reports, as they really picked up here about the 4 o'clock hour. In McDonald County, we've got Highway CC is closed. Not only Highway CC in McDonald County, but also Highway C as you transition over into Berry County. Speaking of Berry County, we had evacuations of Campground at Roaring River State Park. In Monette, we've got water flooding 7th Street and 5th Street. In Jasper County, this is from late last night. We had a large tree that fell down on a parked car. Signs of damage from the high winds that rolled through last night. Reports of flooding in Columbus and Cherokee County as well. And then coming out of the Frontenac, Pittsburgh area, we've got roads that are underwater. So please be very careful out there. Especially, I get really worried when we talk about flooding pre-sunrise. Post-sunset, pre-sunrise, most dangerous time to be out there when we are in the midst of flooding. We've got flood watches, flood warnings, you name it, we got it on the board right now. That lime green is a flood warning. We also have flash flood warnings as you move toward the Springfield area, right off I-44. We can expect those to last at least for a couple more hours. Here's a look at our rain totals in the last 48 hours alone, particularly. Let's pick up Jasper and Barton County, a little bit there into Lawrence County as well. That's pushing up 6, 7, sometimes 8 inches of rain in the last 48 hours. Even as you back off into southeast Kansas, we're still talking about 4 to 5 inches of rain that we've seen. Here's our temperatures, 54 to 61, but it's just keeping up with the rain because we're not done. We are far from being over here. Umbrellas going to be needed today. Watch this thing try to progress off to the east, and then it says, I think I need to do that counterclockwise spin. And that's why I'm just going to throw everything back at you from the south all the way into early Friday morning. Now, our severe weather threat, it diminishes as it moves to the east with the high wind and the hail, but certainly our flooding woes continue pretty much into Mother's Day weekend. Time now for our Something to Talk About on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. The most overvalued real estate market isn't in Miami, New York, or San Francisco. It's actually a city in Idaho. Jake Carolexis, he's in Boise to explain why this is happening.
It's all because of the pandemic. People have been leaving big cities and heading to smaller ones like Boise, and that's sending housing prices through the roof.
I do think Boise was, a gem that people are discovering.
After living in California for more than 20 years, Teresa Jeffrey and her family moved to Boise in November 2020. Jeffrey could work from anywhere and says the community and a lower cost of living were two of the biggest reasons for the move.
The people helped to sell us on Boise. And then the other thing is I feel like your money goes a lot further here. So there's a certain amount of accessibility and affordability.
But all the people heading to smaller markets is driving up housing prices.
The primary reason for this is that many people from high-cost areas, whether California markets or from Seattle, Portland, moving into Boise.
A housing market is considered overvalued when homes are selling for more than their asking prices. And the 10 most overvalued markets in the U.S. are in Arizona, Florida, and Idaho. In fact, Boise is the most overvalued market in America right now.
Nobody expected what happened in the Boise market from 2020 on.
Realtor Carrie O'Hara says the number of people coming in has made it expensive to buy a house in Boise.
We have not enough supply and a seemingly never-ending amount of demand.
Which is proving difficult for longtime Boise residents to buy a home.
People now, when they want to either be a move-up buyer or they're retiring and want to buy a smaller house, that's become increasingly difficult as well.
I was going to say something about moving to Pocatello, but then Pocatello ended up on that list as well. O'Hara says people like Teresa Jeffrey are still making the move from places like California to Idaho. In fact, California's population decreased last 2 years in a row. Before we get to the Insta poll, thank you, Tim. We've got a new road update. This is not a closure, but we can expect delays on Missouri 97. Missouri 97 in Lawrence County. Expect delays on it. I know that is a frequented highway as well. Now on to our poll question. Thank you, Tim. Our question is, where do you live? We got city, suburbs, country, or town as our choices. We'll get to your results, but first we're going to come back and do Health Watch next.
Topping Health Watch this morning, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is expecting the number of people who die from COVID-19 to go up over the next 4 weeks. According to new ensemble forecasts published Wednesday by the CDC, there could be more than 10,000 additional deaths by May 28th. It would be the first increase in deaths since February. And it could quickly push the number of COVID-19 deaths reported in the United States to over 1 million people. According to Johns Hopkins University, the coronavirus has killed nearly 995,000 Americans so far. Might not be long until there's a COVID-19 vaccine approved for kids under 5, but having a vaccine in the U.S. for those young kids and vaccinating them are two totally different things, and there are a lot of parents who say they're on the fence right now. In fact, a new poll from the Kaiser Family Foundation shows only 18% of parents with children under 5 said they would vaccinate them as soon as a vaccine was available. Nearly 40% want to wait and see. 11% said they'd only vaccinate if they were required, and 27% said they definitely will not do it. Survey says the majority of parents who are hesitant say they feel like they, quote, do not have enough information about the safety and effectiveness of COVID-19 vaccines for children in this age group. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration gives the okay for new testing aimed at improving diagnosing Alzheimer's disease. The Luma Pulse test is intended to be used in patients age 55 and older with various causes of cognitive impairment. It's the first in vitro diagnostic test that could offer an alternative to time-consuming and expensive tools like PET scans. Alzheimer's is a brain disorder that slowly destroys memory and thinking skills and eventually affects the ability to carry out the simplest task. It usually presents later in life and gets worse over time. It's the most common form of dementia and is fatal with no cure. Well, a new study finds that most transgender kids who go through a social transition tend to stick with it. Social transition means when a child changes their name or pronoun or wears clothes aligned with their chosen gender identity. The study followed 317 transgender youths from the ages of 3 to 12. 5 years after their initial transition, 94% were still living as transgender girls or boys. Small percentage retransitioned, either re-identifying as their birth sex or identifying as non-binary. Most often that happened before the age of 10. This is the first large-scale study focused on children transitioning more than once. It was published Wednesday in the journal Pediatrics. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Coming up, Missouri sees a fast approaching deadline as it continues to struggle to redraw its district maps.
Tracking Thursday morning thunderstorm activity, multiple storm reports to go along with road closures. We've got the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And 3 Joplin organizations come to the rescue of a historic train station.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5:31. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, it's still raining cats and dogs out there.
Yeah, majority of our road closures coming out of southwest Missouri right now. We're in Barton County, into portions of northern Jasper County. We're sitting on 7 to 8 inches of rain. Break down our storm reports here that we've picked up just in the last several hours, and it's rather impressive the number of icons that you'll see dot the map. Everything from Route 96 in Lawrence County is closed, and Monette reporting flooding downtown on 5th and 7th Streets. Down in Berry County, they actually had to evacuate portions of Roaring River State Park due to flooding. Also, too, we've got Route K closed in Jasper County, Route CC closed in McDonald County. Up in Barton County, Lamar has downtown flooding, and the newest one coming in, Route M, northern Jasper County, right off of I-49. It is now closed as well. There's a brand new one that just popped up. There's the one that is now official. We already gave it to you a little bit ago. Mo 97 closed due to flooding. That is the Stott City exit there in Lawrence County. So it comes as no surprise. Our flood warnings have been extended, some of those for our rivers all the way into Saturday, whether it be the Neosho, the Spring, the Osage, the Little Osage, or the Marmaton. And then we've got flash flood warnings that are transpiring along I-44. Now, granted, these are just east of our highlighted counties, but if you're going to be making the trip to Springfield or you live out on that eastern portion, flash flooding is now a concern all the way through our morning hours. Give you an idea about the punch that this is packing. Right there we are. We are kind of the national talker as far as the amount of rain that we picked up to go along with the tornadic activity. It stayed down to our south, just on the east side of Oklahoma City from last night. 54 to 61 degrees is what we have. Weather trend lifting us up, say around high 60s, if not low 70s. But the important aspect of it all is the failure to dry out. Keeps on moving in, and even though we get intermittent breaks every now and then, don't let your guard down, because essentially we're going to roll this through the evening and nighttime hours into early Friday morning as well. Friday will finally give us a chance to begin to dry out. Looking like a warm and could be a rather humid Mother's Day weekend with all that moisture that's going to be coming out of the ground.
Yeah, it's going to be a soggy weekend, even though it's not raining still, for sure.
It's going to be soggy for some time. By the time this is said and done, we ended last week and started off this week right on par with historic averages for annual rainfall as far as our first 4 months of the year.
Wow.
By the time we're done, we're going to be 6 inches above average.
Wow. Hopefully it stops soon. All right, thanks, Michael. As the legislative session draws to a close, Missouri has yet to redraw district maps. The legislature now has less than 2 weeks left and still has not come to a decision. In fact, lawmakers are moving backwards on the issue because it's moved back into committee discussion. On Wednesday, Representative Dan Schall proposed a new map similar to what passed before. Schall hopes this map will ease concerns from lawmakers.
With input from several to try to make sure it could survive the Senate. We are open to some adjustments to this. There are still some issues with the map.
A map must be passed by Friday of next week, which is when the session ends. The state faces multiple federal and state lawsuits over the delays. If a redistricting map is not agreed upon in time, it could end up in the hands of the courts. Well, Joplin's Union Depot used to be unlike any other train station in its time, but it's been vacant for more than 50 years. Just last year was placed on Missouri's Places in Peril list. Now the Downtown Joplin Alliance, State Historic Preservation Office of Missouri, and the Glenn Group announced a partnership to save the building. KOAM's Bronte Saratsky reports.
It seems particularly appropriate that we are making this announcement in May because May is Historic Preservation Month. So this kicks off Historic Preservation Month very nicely for Joplin.
That announcement is to revitalize the Joplin Union Depot, which has sat empty in downtown Joplin for over 50 years. The building itself is a part of Missouri's history. After opening in 1911, the depot serviced the Kansas City Southern, Missouri, Kansas, Texas, as well as the Santa Fe railroads.
It's been here for over 100 years, and people in the community have seen it sit empty since 1969 when the last train left the depot.
Now, there are efforts underway to bring new life to the building while preserving its historic significance.
The depot is a perfect example of how preservation isn't just about saving buildings, it's about saving the stories of all the people who are affiliated with the building.
In order to revitalize, the group will need to find a developer, and that's where the Glenn Group comes in.
So we are going to be marketing it on a national as well as a local level to commercial real estate developers.
Gibson says they're looking for people who have experience with a building like this.
We will target preservation specialists, people who have worked in this field before and have experience, because we want to make sure that the person taking on this project is able to do it.
For now, it's a waiting game to see what will actually become of the building.
There'd probably be some sort of mixed use and commercial, obviously, in that location, but we're kind of just leaving it wide open.
Building is already on some national listings, and the Glenn Group has started to roll out their marketing on social media. Well, if last night served as any indication, springtime is severe weather season, and how a building is constructed can go a long way in determining safety when severe weather strikes. Now the Joplin Area Habitat for Humanity is building a home to the fortified standard set by the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety. Home features walls with 6 inches of concrete that can withstand winds up to 130 miles per hour.
So it's foam on the inside, foam on the outside, which can improve the overall energy efficiency of the home, and then concrete in between those those forms. And that concrete, 6 inches of concrete, once it's fully cured, it has a tremendous ability to resist wind loads and flying debris.
Habitat officials say this is the first home in Missouri to meet the fortified standard. Here's Michael with a look at your forecast.
Got a report of a water rescue coming out of Dade County near roads 132 and 143, an indicator that driving in the dark in this type of weather is extremely, extremely dangerous. There's no sense in trying to chance anything with the number of road closures that we have, and those include Highway K. In Jasper County, we've got Monette, downtown Monette right now is flooding. And then we've got Highway 97 in Lawrence recently closed. Route M in Jasper County is closed, as is Route CC in McDonald County, Missouri. It's going to rain all day long. We're a long way from being over. Flood watches and warnings essentially persisting into tomorrow. Not going to be surprised if they're not extended to Saturday.
Well, this morning we are discussing where you live. It's a seller's home market right now, and people looking to buy a house are paying more. And part of the reason for this is people want to move from bigger cities to smaller ones. In our story earlier, we looked at people moving from cities in California to smaller ones like Boise, Idaho, for example. Lower cost of living is one reason for the move, but some experts have also attributed the exodus to the pandemic. Whatever the case, people in this area are faced with the same considerations, regardless of where they live, whether it's in the city, the country, the suburbs, or in a town.
Shout out to the 208 with Pocatello, Idaho, making the list as well as far as overvalued real estate. The 208 doesn't mess around. Our question for you is, where do you live? Right now, 43% chiming in, Tanya, saying the country. Recently updated to 45%. 22% split in between the city and the burbs. You can make your voice heard. KOAMnewsnow.com/vote or connect to us via our Facebook page.
I'm hoping nobody comments underwater or something.
That's where we are right now.
Yeah, or on a boat. Yeah.
That'd be lonely. Lonely Island was on a boat.
Yes, that they were.
Nautical themed Pashmina Afghans.
That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on KOAM Morning News, we take you inside a winery in Moldova that's become a sanctuary for Ukrainians fleeing the war. Plus, we've got the story of a mother-daughter reunion 50 years in the making. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, Ukrainian refugees are finding shelter wherever they can after fleeing their war-torn homes. Some have ended up in neighboring Moldova. Randy Kay visited a winery there that has opened its doors to those in need.
When the bombs started dropping close enough to see them, these refugees from Ukraine decided it was time to go. Tatiana and her 13-year-old son grabbed what they could and fled their home in Mykolaiv, heading for the border with Moldova. She tells me the sky was full of rockets and they had to run to their car and hide. They ended up here at the Perkari Winery, about 15 miles from the border crossing. At the start of the war, the winery opened its doors to Ukrainian refugees.
How grateful are you to be here?
She tells me she is grateful but anxious. The calm here scares her because it was calm in Ukraine too, she says, before the bombing started. Eugen Commandant is the Perkari Winery's chief operating officer. He says they've helped more than 5,000 Ukrainian refugees, housing as many as they can at the winery and putting the rest up at nearby hotels.
It's our duty to help the Ukrainian people, as our duty as Moldovans, because the heroes, the Ukrainian heroes that are now fighting off the Russian armies, they're also our heroes. They're also Moldovan heroes, because they're also protecting us and our families.
Here we also met Yulia. She fled Mykolaiv, Ukraine too.
How close did the bombings get to you?
Through tears, Yulia tells me how the bomb hit her house, but they managed to escape to the basement. They were lucky. This is what the house looked like after being hit. Yulia's daughter is here with her, but her husband stayed behind to fight. She tells me she's anxious being so close to Transnistria here, the breakaway territory where about 1,500 Russian troops remain. Eugen took me out to the vineyards to show me just how close they are to Transnistria.
That over there, all you can see, that's Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
And that one there you see, that's actually Transnistria. And the rest is Ukraine. You realize how close the war is to us.
Mm-hmm. Karina Tomofty helped coordinate the winery's refugee effort.
In the first week here in the restaurant, we made a real bedroom, a large one. They were sleeping here.
They were sleeping in this
yes,
room?
Yes, because the whole hotel was full.
So this is a guest book that we usually have for our guests.
This guest book, usually reserved for paying winery guests, now filled with messages of thanks from Ukrainian refugees.
You see a lot of the blue and the yellow of the colors of the Ukrainian flag. And of course, there are messages of peace and of thanking the Moldovan people for helping them.
And this one here means?
No to war.
Niet Vojne, it says, no to war.
That's a look at one of your biggest stories from around the world. We'll be right back with the news you need to know before you head out the door. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Some Kansas residents are getting a break on their taxes. Governor Laura Kelly on Wednesday signed a bill allowing people 65 years old and older or disabled veterans to get a property tax refund of up to $2,500 as long as they make less than $75,000. Disabled veterans are also eligible for income tax exemptions. And teachers can now receive tax credits for buying classroom supplies. One of the biggest priorities for Missouri's legislative session is to redraw the congressional district lines. The legislature now has less than 2 weeks left and still has not come to a decision. In fact, lawmakers are moving backwards on the issue because it's moved back into committee discussion. On Wednesday, Representative Dan Schall proposed a new map similar to what passed before. Schall hopes this map will ease concerns from lawmakers. We all know the threat of severe weather in this area and how a building is constructed can go a long way keeping safe when that severe weather strikes. And now the Joplin Area Habitat for Humanity is building a home to the fortified standards set by the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety. The home features walls with 6 inches of concrete that can withstand winds up to 130 miles per hour. Habitat officials say this is the first home in Missouri to meet the fortified standard. And on Wednesday, some Pitt State students showcased how they help the community. Displays set up on campus showed the results of community-based projects. Projects range from fundraising to collecting food and items. One particular project involved raising money to buy sewing machines and materials for resettled Afghan refugees. The students participating are majoring in social work. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
The majority of the lightning is now departed off to the east of our highlighted counties, but the rain is not going anywhere. We've got places in Barton County, northern Jasper County, McDonald and Berry that have already picked up 7 to 8 inches here in the last 48 hours. So the flood warnings, specifically for our rivers, those are going to last for the weekend easily, and then we've got flash flood warnings as we move off to the east. Multiple road closures, including Highway 97 in Lawrence County, Route K in Jasper County, Route CC in McDonald County, and Route M in Jasper County as well. We'll come back and do a little future cast for you when we return right after this.
A Colorado mother had a tearful reunion with her own mother, someone she has never met. Sarah Kalinahans was put up for adoption in South Korea when she was just 14 months old. Her mother now lives in California, and with the help of some DNA analysis, she found her. Jasmine Viel was there.
There's a car.
Sarah Kleinhans is about to meet her half-sister Linda and birth mom, who they call Oma, at any minute.
I wonder what she's feeling right now.
She is anxiously waiting at a friend's house in Monrovia. She flew in from Colorado with her 2 kids for this reunion that's been decades in the making.
It's like super real. I just need a sip.
At just 14 months old, Sarah was adopted by a family in New Hampshire from Korea with her half-brother. They each had a locket with their mom's picture and their baby picture in it. Her whole life, she's wanted to reconnect with her birth mom.
Every year on my birthday, I think of you. Every single year, and I look out and I go, are you alive? Are you wondering? Are you thinking about me?
They only just spoke on the phone 2 weeks ago, and now the big moment is finally here.
Mama.
Hugs and tears.
I'm so happy. I'm so grateful to you.
As Sarah embraces her mom for the first time after 53 years apart.
I'm here. You're more beautiful in person.
Showing her mom the locket she has kept all these years.
Look what I have. Oh, I found you.
Sarah's half-sister Linda, who she never knew existed, had been looking for Sarah for 15 years. Sarah used the genetic testing company 23andMe to begin her family search. Linda finally found her through Facebook and sent a message. Sarah also found what she believes is a picture of her biological father, who passed away in 2015. He was a sergeant in Seoul when he met her mom.
This is a photo, and I don't know if this is my father. Yeah, your father.
Sarah toured as a dancer and model and is now a single mom. Her son Addison survived leukemia as a young boy. And while Sarah says she can't imagine ever leaving her children, she admires what her mom had to do.
How selfless do you have to be to know that your child is going to have a better life? And so as a mixed baby, it's a kind of hard time, and it was the late 60s.
So for now, it's the delicate and slow process of getting to know each other.
My grandson? Yeah, your grandson, Addison. He's 17.
And enjoying the little moments together, like talking about their favorite dish, kimchi.
What a reunion. We'll be back with another look at your forecast and flood warnings right after this.
Flood warnings and watches lasting all day long into tomorrow, even though we get a little bit of a break every now and then today. Still going to need the umbrella as it will continue to rain down. We've got places that have already picked up 7 to 8 inches of rain in the last 48 hours alone, and really not giving up until Friday morning. Temperatures will be in the high 60s, low 70s today. A little bit cooler out to the west than it will be to the east. And then beginning tomorrow, we finally have a chance to dry out a little bit. Warm Mother's Day weekend. Could be humid, though, with all that water coming off the ground. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Coming up, Missouri faces pressure from deadlines and lawsuits to redraw district maps.
Now, unfortunately, we're a long way from being over. The rain continues to fall, multiple road closures and flood warnings throughout the 4 states, with the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And 3 Joplin organizations team up to try and save a historic train depot in Joplin.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go straight to Michael Hayslip.
No reprieve from the rain, that is for sure. It's going to last all morning long, and even though we'll get a break here this afternoon, we're going to be right back at it tonight. That's a live look over 7th and Rangeline. The majority of the lightning has moved to the east of us, but the showers continue down, and now we've got more cooking down to the southwest that will be on us here for the next several hours. Multiple storm reports include road closures and also, too, a water rescue that took place in Dade County and evacuation of the Roaring River State Campground in Berry County. Notable road closures that we have include downtown Monette on 5th and 7th Streets. We also have Highway 97 in Lawrence County, Highway K right off of I-49 in northern Jasper County, Highway M in Barton County, and then downtown Lamar. We have streets covered as well. So the best thing to do is check that Department of Transportation page for your respective state. The majority of those closures right now are coming out of southwest Missouri. Flood warnings indicated in the lime green, flash flood warnings along I-44, everybody else in a flood watch. I think that's a little apparent, seeing as how, like I said, portions of Barton and Jasper County, 6 to 7, sometimes 8 inches of rain in the last 48 hours alone. So even though we see the larger band that stretches from Arkansas almost past St. Louis into Illinois, moving off to our east, we still have to be consumed with what's behind us. In between about 54 and 60 degrees right now, but the rain is not going to let up. Even though our temperatures will scrape out some 70s this afternoon, especially out to the east. It'll be warmer to the east than it will to the west today. But as it begins to turn counterclockwise for the evening hours, it throws it back in from the south, precipitation lasting all the way into Friday morning. Any of those road closures in your neck of the woods, I would go ahead and plan on those probably not opening up anytime soon.
Okay. Well, yeah, make sure you have another route because yours might be covered.
And we'll end on a good note. Mother's Day weekend. Sunny skies, and it's going to be warm.
Yes.
We just got to get there first.
It's going to be warm and soggy and muddy.
It'll be muggy.
Yep. That's all right. At least maybe we'll get some sunshine. That'd be great.
Oh, I got a new one. Route W in Newton County. Route W now closed.
Wow.
In Newton County.
All right. Thanks, Michael. Well, tornadoes tore through parts of Oklahoma on Wednesday, causing widespread damage in some areas. Dramatic video of a twister captured as it struck near the town of Maud on the boundary between Pottawatomie and Seminole counties. Authorities say a tornado hit a marijuana farm there, but did not say if there were any injuries. They are assessing the damage in Seminole and say fire and rescue crews were sent there. The structures hit appeared unoccupied at the time. The National Weather Service canceled the tornado warning for Seminole County mid-evening on Wednesday. KBI late last night announces a homicide investigation in Allen County. The Allen County Sheriff's Office says a man was found Tuesday dead in a shop outside of his home in rural La Harpe. That man is identified as 68-year-old Richard Deal. Authorities say preliminary autopsy results indicate Deal was murdered. They're not providing any more information. And one of the biggest priorities for Missouri's legislative session is to redraw the congressional district lines. The legislature now has less than 2 weeks left and still has not come to a decision. In fact, lawmakers are moving backwards on the issue because it's moved back into committee discussion. On Wednesday, Representative Dan Schall proposed a new map similar to what passed before. Schall hopes this map will ease concerns from lawmakers.
With input from several to try to make sure it could survive the Senate. We are open to some adjustments to this. There are still some issues with the map.
A map must be passed by Friday of next week, which is when the session ends. The state faces multiple federal and state lawsuits over the delays. If a redistricting map is not agreed upon in time, it could end up in the hands of the courts. Well, Joplin's Union Depot used to be unlike any other train station in its time, but it's been vacant for over 50 years. Just last year was placed on Missouri's Places in Peril list. Now a team of 3 Joplin organizations is looking to save it. Because it was placed on Missouri's Places in Peril list, the group now has the authority to market the building and seek out developers for the property. The group says the building plays a significant role in Joplin's history.
We've lost a lot of our historic buildings, but with Union Depot, it's a very innovative building. It's architecturally stunning, and the architect who designed it, Lewis Curtis, is known as the Frank Lloyd Wright of Kansas City, so it's very significant in that right too.
While what will come of the Union Depot is still up for discussion, the initial steps for marketing the building have already begun. Identical twin sisters, Alexis and Morgan Claire, will graduate from KCU Joplin Medical School this weekend. The sisters still plan to continue their journey together. They were able to get into the same residency at Beaumont Health Hospital in Dearborn, Michigan. The sisters say their life goal is to help those in need through surgery.
A big thing, kind of life goal of ours, once we make it through general surgery residency and beyond, we'd love to give back to the community, and for me, surgery kind of lends itself very well to giving back definitive treatment and management to people who perhaps can't afford it otherwise.
The Claire sisters will begin their residency next month. Well, today, back in 1921, Chanel No. 5 launches. Launched on the 5th day of the 5th month with a new collection, Chanel No. 5 was a scent that would change the world. The scent debuted in Coco Chanel's boutique on the Rue Cambon in Paris. The new fragrance immediately revolutionized the perfume industry and remained popular for a century. Its creator, Coco Chanel, quickly established herself on the fashion scene due to her groundbreaking clothing design, her high-profile romances, and her larger-than-life public image. It helped her quickly become celebrated in the fashion world alongside as a socialite.
Her high-profile romances almost got her connected to the royal family.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she was with Prince Philip's cousin for quite a bit.
Didn't they recently make a movie about Coco Chanel?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And her obsession with the number 5 dates back to when she was a child. Skywatch storm tracker, we're just locked in. Rain is not going anywhere, and 6 to 7 inches of rain already picked up in the last 48 hours. Flood warnings, flash flood warnings, you name it. Pick a river as well. Pick a river, any river, and it's going to have a flood warning along it. I know you might be tempted, even if mom likes to, you know, jump in a boat or maybe a picnic by the river might be the best thing. I haven't brought this up this morning. They are going to be running. They are going to be running this weekend, and they're going to be running fast.
Yeah, definitely want to be safe. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Chef Anthony steps into Studio K, making us a Cinco De Mayo Pico De Gallo. Plus, it's day 3 since Politico dropped the bombshell news about Roe v. Wade. We'll have the latest update. And a report finds women and people of color have longer ER waiting times. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, with the Supreme Court likely just 2 months away from stripping abortion rights, lawmakers on both sides working to strengthen their polarizing positions. The 98-page draft opinion that was obtained by Politico has some concern about what else may be in future crosshairs. Elise Preston's outside the High Court with the latest.
New tall fencing was put up around the Supreme Court overnight, the latest sign of the growing conflict nationwide, as Americans in about 24 states will likely lose some or all abortion rights if the court overturns Roe v. Wade later this year.
Time is of the essence.
One of those is Michigan, where a law from 1931 will go back into effect, making it a felony to perform an abortion. Republican state legislators blocked Democrats from repealing the law. Now, Governor Gretchen Whitmer is asking the Michigan Supreme Court to step in.
I'm using every tool at my disposal. I'm going to fight like hell to protect this right for women.
Here in Washington, congressional Democrats don't have the numbers to put abortion rights into law, but they plan on holding a vote anyway, with midterm elections just a few months away.
By making people vote on this issue that matters to so many people, we've got a chance now maybe to change the makeup of who's in the United States Senate.
Some of the arguments in the draft opinion have President Biden raising questions about what else is at risk, like same-sex marriage.
What are the next things that are going to be attacked? Because this MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history. In recent American history.
Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt, who signed a bill this week prohibiting most abortions after 6 weeks, says the court is right to leave it to the states.
We do not believe that 9 unelected people can make a decision for all of Oklahoma.
The court's final decision is expected in June or July. Elise Preston, CBS News, Washington.
Outside the Supreme Court, new taller barriers went up last night as demonstrators from both sides continue to come out to voice their opinion. That is a look at this morning's top national story. We'll be right back with Chef Anthony in Studio K right after this.
If you haven't heard yet, it's Cinco De Mayo, and we are celebrating in the KOAM Test Kitchen. Joining me this morning, once again, Chef Anthony.
Good morning.
Pittsburgh High School culinary arts instructor, here to share with us a couple of Mexican-inspired dishes.
Yes.
We're going to kick it off with
traditional Pico De Gallo. And we have tomatoes. This is about 2 tomatoes diced up. Okay. And we have some pickled jalapenos. Now, people always ask, why not use the fresh? Well, the pickled ones have a better flavor to them.
Okay.
So they tend to stand up a little bit better. And then I have a 1/4 of an onion diced. And then I have some cilantro.
Okay.
And I'm going to add that right in there with it as well. Get it all nice and inside. And then we're going to add a little bit of salt. And I like to use one of my flavored salts.
I saw this one was chipotle
This is a
salt.
chipotle salt. It adds a little bit of smokiness to it.
Where do you find salts like this, or do you make them?
I make some of them. Some of the ones that I get from Chubam Tea and Spice in Springfield.
Okay.
They have one of the best selections I've ever seen. And he's really particular with the way that they're made. So you get a really high quality product. And then unlike some people think I'm crazy with this one, I had a little bit of black pepper into my pico. And people are like, well, that's just weird. It is a little weird, but I kind of like the way that it comes across. Now we're gonna add some heat with some ground cumin.
Okay.
And we're gonna give that a good toss and mix.
So this is your traditional Pico de Gallo.
This is a traditional one. And I talked to several people who are like, well, we use fresh jalapenos, but I like the twang that I get from the pickled jalapenos.
Okay.
I think they have a little bit better of a kick to them. And you can use serranos and pickle them yourself, which is something I have done in the past, and I've even pickled habaneros to put into it. But I tend to get a little carried away with the heat. So, and then we're going to squeeze some lime juice right inside. The lime juice is going to kind of balance out the salt and the heat.
Now you have quite a bit of produce here. You want to talk about where
All
you
my
can
produce
find this stuff?
I got from Martinez produce, and we use a lot of citrus this week to go along with our tacos because our whole thing is Cinco de Mayo. So we're going to be doing some tacos on our next segment. And I have these beautiful ears of corn that I made corn salsa with, and then I had a beautiful pineapple that I turned into a pineapple salsa.
Okay.
And a red peppers, so we have fire roasted red peppers, roasted corn, and this beautiful pineapple. And each one of these is an increasing heat.
Awesome.
So you can change your taco just by the toppings that you put on top of it.
I'm ready to dig in.
Well, dig right on in there.
Now, is this one that you would like to set in the fridge for a little while to let the flavors?
Exactly. If you let this sit in the refrigerator overnight, the flavors do tend to marry together really nicely. But some people, they're really diehard. I like it fresh, fresh, fresh. So it all depends on what you're looking for. Little crunchy, little simple.
Yeah.
All the flavors.
It definitely has a kick. I like that.
Now,
I'm a big fan of cilantro. I know some people, they always say cilantro, you either love it or you hate it.
some people have a predisposition to make where cilantro tastes like soap to them.
Which is weird.
It is weird, but you'll...
Unfortunate for them.
It is. I love my cilantro.
Mhm.
But try this one. This one's corn, roasted red peppers, jalapenos, onions, serrano peppers, jalapenos.
And you make it the same way, you just...
I made
you
it the
said you
exact
roasted the
same
corn.
way, but I roasted my corn beforehand just to give it a little bit of depth.
I'm trying to decide which one I like better.
I think you're
They're
going to
so
like
different.
the pineapple one better. Because the pineapple
That's
one
got
has-
some spice to it.
It does.
What do you have for the spice in this one?
Serranos.
Just the serranos?
Just the
Do you also
serranos and
put
the cumin.
in it?
Everything's made exactly the same. The only difference is I substituted the corn for the tomatoes. So if you take out the tomatoes, you can put corn, you can put pineapple, you can put mangoes. You can do just almost anything that your little heart can imagine.
I'm a big fan of pineapple in my salsa.
Oh
Yeah, for
yes.
sure.
I wasn't until I tried it the first time. The first time I tried it, I was hooked.
I feel like I should have brought some water out here. Okay.
Little hot, little sweet.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what are all the flavors in this one again?
The only thing this one has different in it than any of the others is this one has minced up habaneros.
I can taste those. You're doing that to me on purpose. Yes, no,
I
that's
wouldn't
delicious.
want to be predictable today. So.
No, not at all. And to fight that, you've even got 3 different recipes here.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got these awesome Pico De Gallos prepared. What are we going to do with them?
So on our next segment, we're going to do street tacos. We're going to do a citrus marinated pork taco, and we're going to do a chicken taco. And they're marinated up special for adults. There's no student involvement in this one this week because this is my Cinco de Mayo, right there, pack a punch. We've marinated them with some help from our friends at Parrot Head. Liquor here in town.
Awesome.
So we're going all the way, packing as much flavor as we can into everything. And the pork is a tequila and Cubano style citrus marinade. So good.
It sounds delightful. Okay, so you can find the recipes for all of these later this morning on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. We've got 3 of them here, so exciting for you for that. And then coming up on KOAM News on Fox 14, we're going to be making the street tacos, chicken and pork.
Chicken and pork.
Yes, looking forward to that. We'll be right back.
Southeast Kansas, essentially. They're in Frontenac that runs all the way to Lamar. It is now closed due to flooding. Once again, that is US 160, majorly traveled thoroughfare. And then after you get through Lamar, 160 closed again through Dade County, Missouri. An idea of how much rain that we've taken on, especially when we talk about Barton County and northern Jasper County. And that stretches into Crawford County as well. So we look at 6 to 8 inches of rain in the last 48 hours. Now, if you've been to the emergency room recently, you know, how long did you have to wait? How were you treated? Well, for women and people of color, it's often different from what white men experience. That's according to new research from the Journal of American Heart Association. All based on data from the CDC of nearly 30 million people. Researchers looked at people under 55 years old who went to the ER for chest pain and found that compared to white men, Women and people of color waited longer to see a doctor, were less likely to get testing done, and less likely to get medication for a heart attack. Kids may be taking food and substance cues from reality TV. Researchers sampled 20 reality TV shows in the United Kingdom, found they're a significant source of exposure to junk food, alcohol, and tobacco images. They suggest popular programs revise that content. Realizing we may have had an audio issue earlier, I want to reiterate, U.S. Highway 160 in Crawford County, just in the Frontenac area, that runs east-west. Take 160, you can go from Frontenac all the way to Lamar. It is closed due to flooding. And then after you get through Lamar, 160 closed into Dade County as well. We'll be back, get you some road closure updates when we return right after this.
Coming up, Missouri faces pressure from deadlines and lawsuits to redraw district maps.
Multiple road closures, water rescue, and a campground evacuated because of our rain. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And 3 Joplin organizations team up to try and save a historic train depot in Joplin.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6:28. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment. But first, let's go to Michael Hayslip.
Got a mess on our hands, Tanya. If I throw up the storm reports, that's the last 24 hours alone. We can isolate this. Let's take this down to the last 3 hours, particularly right over Pittsburgh, just to the north. The latest road closure, U.S. Highway 160 closed due to flooding. 160 runs from Frontenac there to Lamar. And then after you get on the backside, the east side of Lamar, 160 closed again as it goes into Dade County. Speaking of Dade County, Highway 97, it is closed from Dade all the way down into portions of Lawrence County. This is on top of Route K, Route M, and Route CC. Now, K&M in Jasper County, CC in McDonald County. Monette also underwater. What we'll do is extend these storm reports here just a bit because we talked about some other activity where we had the evacuation of the Roaring River State Park due to flooding, and then also too we had a water rescue near, let's see, Dade 132 and South Dade 143 roads. That is in South Greenfield in Dade County, an indicator that how dangerous it is with the floodwaters and it being dark. Now, as we get a little bit of light here, we need everybody on their toes because the amount of flood warnings and watches we have are not going away anytime soon. And when we talk about accumulation numbers, look right here for Jasper and Barton and Dade County. We're talking 7 to 8.5 inches of rain coming down. That's in the last 48 hours alone. Here's a look at our temperatures, 54 to 60 degrees. But the key factor is the rain doesn't want to budge. It's going to stay with us, even though we get some additional breaks compared to what we had yesterday. It wants to throw this counterclockwise motion at us for tonight, which means it spins over on us and really does not end until Friday morning. Now, after we break Friday morning, we're finally done. Move into Mother's Day weekend, and we're going to have warm temperatures. But Tanya, I think it might even be a bit muggy because of all the precipitation that's in the ground, that moisture, that sunshine going to kick in. You're going to feel it out there.
We're not going to be used to 88 degrees. That's going to be hot to us.
As an aside, you and I talked about it earlier, but we haven't harped on it for a while. Stay away from the rivers. I don't care if it's the Neosho, the Spring, the Marmonton, the Osage, the Little Osage. They are running.
It's going to be tempting for folks this weekend because it's sunny.
No.
Sunny and
warm.
warm.
Do not be tempted by it, folks.
Yes. Be safe. Stay home. All right. Thanks, Michael. KBI late last night announced a homicide investigation in Allen County. The Allen County Sheriff's Office says a man was found Tuesday dead in a shop outside of his home in rural La Harpe. That man is identified as 68-year-old Richard Deal. Authorities say preliminary autopsy results indicate Deal was murdered. They're not providing any more information. One of the biggest priorities for Missouri's legislative session is to redraw the congressional district lines. The legislature now has less than 2 weeks left and still has not come to a decision. In fact, lawmakers are moving backwards on the issue because it's moved back into committee discussion. On Wednesday, Representative Dan Shaw proposed a new map similar to what passed before. Schall hopes this map will ease concerns from lawmakers.
With input from several to try to make sure it could survive the Senate. We are open to some adjustments to this. There are still some issues with the map.
A map must be passed by Friday of next week, which is when the session ends. The state faces multiple federal and state lawsuits over the delays. If a redistricting map is not agreed upon in time, it could end up in the hands of the courts. On Wednesday, some Pitt State students showcased how they helped the community. Displays set up on campus showed the results of community-based projects. Projects ranged from fundraising to collecting food and items. One particular project involved raising money to buy sewing machines and materials for resettled Afghan refugees.
The overall goal is to form a sewing circle and also to have some sort of women's circles with healing activities to help with all of the trauma and PTSD issues, loneliness, social connectivity, so all of the issues that are part of this community.
The students participating are majoring in social work. School is almost over, which means kids will have more free time for activities like riding bikes. When riding a bike, it's always important to be safe and wear a helmet. So Joplin-based law firm Aaron Sachs and Associates donated bike helmets to kindergarten students at Stapleton Elementary.
Bike helmet safety is a huge part of Aaron Sachs and Associates. It's great to have bike helmets for outdoor activities, skateboarding, bicycling, scooters, and it's become a big part of the kids' lives, and we encourage outdoor activity. And to have a properly fitted helmet is just so important.
Aaron Sachs and Associates say they have distributed around 30,000 helmets over the past nearly 20 years. Joplin's Union Depot used to be unlike any other train station in its time, but it's been vacant for more than 50 years. Just last year was placed on Missouri's Places in Peril list. Now the Downtown Joplin Alliance, State Historic Preservation Office of Missouri, and the Glenn Group announced a partnership to save the building. KOAM's Bronte Saratsky reports.
It seems particularly appropriate that we are making this announcement in May because May is Historic Preservation Month. So this kicks off Historic Preservation Month very nicely for Joplin.
That announcement is to revitalize the Joplin Union Depot, which has sat empty in downtown Joplin for over 50 years. The building itself is a part of Missouri's history. After opening in 1911, the depot serviced the Kansas City Southern, Missouri, Kansas, Texas, as well as the Santa Fe railroads.
It's been here for over 100 years, and people in the community have seen it sit empty since 1969 when the last train left the depot.
Now, there are efforts underway to bring new life to the building while preserving its historic significance.
The depot is a perfect example of how preservation isn't just about saving buildings, it's about saving the stories of all the people who are affiliated with the building.
In order to revitalize, the group will need to find a developer, and that's where the Glenn Group comes in.
So we are going to be marketing it on a national as well as a local level to commercial real estate developers.
Gibson says they're looking for people who have experience with a building like this.
We will target preservation specialists, people who have worked in this field before and have experience, because we want to make sure that the person taking on this project is able to do it.
For now, it's a waiting game to see what will actually become of the building.
There'd probably be some sort of mixed use and commercial, obviously, in that location, but we're kind of just leaving it wide open.
The building is already on some national listings, and the Glenn Group has started to roll out its marketing on social media. Well, today, back in 2002, Spider-Man becomes the first movie to top 100 million in its opening weekend. Directed by Sam Raimi and starring Tobey Maguire in the title role. Eagerly awaited comic book adaptation of Spider-Man was released Friday, May 3rd, 2002. It quickly became the fastest movie ever to earn more than 100 million at the box office, raking in a staggering 114.8 million by that Sunday. By the time the film was released, 4 decades had passed since Stan Lee and Steve Ditko created Spider-Man for Marvel in 1962. Comics' enduring popularity, as well as a massive marketing campaign by Columbia Pictures and Marvel, seemed to predict the commercial success for the film, which opened in more than 3,600 theaters nationwide.
What year was that?
2002.
Doesn't Multiverse of Madness open tomorrow?
Does it? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Directed by
Sam
Raimi.
Yeah.
Huh? How? 20 years, huh? I'll be darned.
Yeah.
That's called pretty successful.
That's what my kids want me to go see for Mother's Day with them.
Did one of my favorite baseball movies, For the Love of the Game, with Kevin Costner.
Okay.
Yep. Use the loofah. The loofah exfoliates. A great line. All right, here's a look at our rain. Remember, we've got multiple road closures. Specifically, you want to point out Highway 160, US 160, Highway 97. Now, a number of county and state roads and highways are closed as well. The reason I point those out is those are our most traveled thoroughfares that are closed right now, and 160 being just the latest. The rain will continue to fall as we anticipate everything down to the southwest that's going to head our way. Don't go anywhere without the umbrella. Temperatures close to 70 today, but the rain's not going to stop until Friday morning.
That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News. Due to interest rates going up, mortgage rates are on the rise as well. Stick with us for the latest details. Plus, people who live in big cities, like the ones you find in California, are looking to move to smaller cities, like those in the Midwest. Maybe because of the cheaper cost of living. And today we want to know, what kind of place do you live? Where do you live? We let you weigh in. We'll be right back. In Consumer Watch this morning, stocks skyrocket after the Federal Reserve announced its hiking interest rates. The Dow gained 932 points. NASDAQ added 401. S&P 500 jumped 124. As expected, the Fed raised rates by half a percentage point to fight inflation. It's the largest hike in more than 2 decades. What made investors happy was hearing Chairman Jerome Powell say the central bank is not planning any hikes larger than that, though more increases are still planned. Rising interest rates also mean higher mortgage rates. Pair that with record high home prices, and it's no surprise that a record low number of Americans think it's a good time to buy a house. According to pollster Gallup, just 30% of adults say it's the right time to settle down. It's the first time that number has even been below 50% since the survey started in 1978. 4.4 million taxpayers are due some money back after finding out that free doesn't necessarily mean free. Intuit, the parent company of TurboTax, will pay $141 million to customers who were deceived by its misleading advertisements for free tax filing services. Part of a settlement with all 50 states, customers will receive about $30 for each year they paid for TurboTax's services. That's it for Consumer Watch. Let's go over to Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning on the KOAM News Now Insta Poll, discussing where you live. It's a seller's home market right now. People looking to buy a house, paying a whole lot more than probably what they anticipated. And part of the reason for this, people wanting to move from bigger cities to smaller ones. Earlier, we talked about people moving from cities in California to smaller ones in like Boise, Idaho, for example. Lower cost of living, one reason for the move, but some experts have also attributed the exodus to the pandemic. Now, whatever the case, people in this area faced with the same considerations regardless of where they live, whether it's in the city, the country, the burbs, or in the town. Our question for you, where do you live? Right now, 30% of you out in the country. Then we're pretty much evenly split after that between city, burbs, and town, ranging from 22 to 26%. Each and every morning, KOAMnewsnow.com/vote, or connect to us via our Facebook page at KOAM News Now. Going to come back, celebrate birthdays and anniversaries, but not before we go to the Big Apple and check in with Miss Gail.
Hello to you, I'm Gail King. Coming right up on CBS Mornings, Queen Latifah joins us here in the studio to talk about the latest season of The Equalizer and continuing to empower women. Yep, the Queen is going to be in the house. That's coming right up on CBS Mornings.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Staff Sergeant Hayden McElroy. The Neodesha, Kansas native served in Iraq from 2004 to 2005 with the 891st Engineers. This decorated veteran won the Army Achievement Medal and many more. To Staff Sergeant Hayden McElroy, we thank you, today's four-state hero.
list begins with Colby Johnson. He's got a cool hat too. We're getting some great shots of these hats that I've come to fall in love with. Colby's celebrating the big number 4. He's known as Little Man, and I am told that he loves his grandfather's Harley, and Colby is celebrating in Girard.
All right, and we...
Love that.
It's down in like...
That's a party.
New Orleans or something?
That's
awesome.
that's called a party. That's what that is.
Oh, look at all those beads on those kids. Bodie, Maverick, Farley. What a great name. Up in Fort Scott, celebrating birthday number 6 today.
A lot going on in that photo. Yeah. Kelsey Moss celebrating a 6th birthday as well. Kelsey has the party commencing in Columbus.
All right, and we've got Carol Lee Murphy turning sweet 16 today in Nevada. Happy birthday, Carol Lee.
That's what you get to do when you turn sweet 16. You get to lounge for a day.
Do you see what's on her shoulder there? She's got to sit very still.
You what?
See what she's got on her shoulder there?
Is that a rabbit?
I
can't tell.
Looks like a hamster or something like that. Doesn't have ears like a rabbit.
Look how good our control room is. That's amazing. I didn't see it. Well, they all get to lounge. They should.
Yeah.
Carolyn's
Hanging out
birthday.
with her friends. There we go.
Miranda McCready, a happy 33rd birthday. We're going to turn back the clock a little bit. There's Miss Miranda as a youngster. Happy birthday to Miranda and Chanute.
All right, and we've got Kevin Harvey celebrating birthday number 35 this year with love from Mom and Dad. Hope you have a wonderful birthday, Kevin.
A milestone in Webb City is Christopher Stalling hits the big 4-0. Wonderful looking family pick right there. And a very happy birthday to Christopher.
Danny Clark turning the big 6-0 this year in Baxter Springs. Happy birthday, Danny.
Not the only one celebrating 60 because Alvin Edwards right there. I love this picture. We're going to run this picture all week. That's great. Happy 60th birthday to Alvin.
All right, and Enos Perez, belated birthday wishes going out to you. Actually, it was on Tuesday in Humboldt, turning 83 years old this year.
Zane and Lisa Slater, they're celebrating their 15th anniversary. Congratulations to the Slater household. They're celebrating in Parsons.
All right, and we've got a 5th birthday wish going out to Geneva Grimmett in Pittsburgh with love from Mom and Dad. Linda Baker turning 81 in Columbus, and Peanut Hess in Pittsburgh. Happy birthday.
Oh, I want to know the genesis of Peanut Hess's name.
I wonder if that's a nickname or not.
If anybody in the Webb City area, go ask John Roderick what he used to call Nathan Kofer. And maybe that's in relation to Peanut Hess. Peanut, a very happy birthday to you. Herb Parsons celebrating a birthday in Galena. Mr. Herb, have a great one. And Kenny Witt celebrating in Miami. A happy birthday and happy anniversary to all on this 5th of May. That's where you can send them into birthdays at KOAMTV.com. You can also go to our website, KOAMNewsNow.com. Here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right. You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club by going to our website and signing up. And once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMNewsNow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
For those of you that are going to switch on over with us to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, the Great Salt Lake in Utah is drying up due to a massive drought. We're going to look at conservation efforts on how lawmakers are trying to save the Great Salt Lake when we transition over to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We got a little sliver of dry air, which is hard to believe, kind of working from the southeast up to the northwest. So if you want to make a run to the car, now might be the time to do it, because we've got additional rainfall that's already generating throughout southeast Kansas, northeast Oklahoma. It's going to work its way through across the state line into southwest Missouri. Of course, we've been talking so much about our road closures, most notably our recent ones being US 160 from Crawford County, stretching across the state line toward Lamar, and then resuming Highway 160, US 160 being closed once it gets on the east side of Lamar as well. And Highway 97 in southwest Missouri closed not only in Dade County but also in Lawrence County. Flood watches, flood warnings, particularly for our rivers. I want everybody to know that it is not going to be a good time to decide you want to be out and about on a river, even though our Mother's Day weekend is going to be delightful. Look at those 48-hour rain totals when we talk about Jasper and Barton and Dade and Lawrence County. We're pushing up. We're getting close to 9 inches right there in those particular areas where we are seeing the majority of those road closings. Highs in the 70s today, but remember the rain lasts all through the evening hours into early Friday morning. Then we can all take a break and let the water begin to recede during Mother's Day weekend. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Some Kansas residents are getting a break on their taxes. Governor Laura Kelly on Wednesday signed a bill allowing people 65 years old and older or disabled veterans to get a property tax refund of up to $2,500 as long as they make less than $75,000. Disabled veterans are also eligible for income tax exemptions, and teachers can now receive tax credits for buying classroom supplies. One of the biggest priorities for Missouri's legislative session is to redraw the congressional district lines. The legislature now has less than 2 weeks left and still has not come to a decision. In fact, lawmakers are moving backwards on the issue because it's moved back into committee discussion. On Wednesday, Representative Dan Schall proposed a new map similar to what passed before. Schall hopes this map will ease concerns from lawmakers. We all know the threat of severe weather in this area. How a building is constructed can go a long way keeping safe when that severe weather strikes. Now, the Joplin Area Habitat for Humanity is building a home to the fortified standards set by the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety. Home features walls with 6 inches of concrete that can withstand winds up to 130 miles per hour. Habitat officials say this is the first home in Missouri to meet the fortified standard. On Wednesday, some Pitt State students showcased how they helped the community. Displays set up on campus showed the results of community-based projects. Projects range from fundraising to collecting food and items. One particular project involved raising money to buy sewing machines and materials for resettled Afghan refugees. Students participating are majoring in social work. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Let's take one last look at the radar and one last look at future track. Even though we're seeing a little break from the southeast up to the northwest and the central portion of the 4 states, we are not done. Remember, flood watches and warnings all day long into Friday. As we get intermittent breaks during the afternoon, still the rain is coming down somewhere in the 4 states all the way through tonight into early tomorrow morning. A little bit cooler on Friday. We'll roll mid-60s, then get ready for what could shape up to be a muggy Mother's Day weekend with temperatures up into the 80s and a whole lot of moisture still stuck in the ground trying to evaporate upwards.
Well, coming up today at noon, apparently Howard has forgot that it's the Cinco De Mayo celebration day because we're making quinoa veggie salad in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Nah, in his defense, he did a Cinco de Mayo dish yesterday.
Yeah.
I got you, Howard. I got Anthony. I got Howard.
Today's my party day.
No, I got you guys. I got you guys.
That's because we got Anthony in studio.
No, you're good. God for the chefs.
More
in my
importantly,
life.
we're going to be making chicken and pork street tacos to use with our Pico De Gallo coming up on Fox 14.
And most importantly, be safe. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And today at noon.